G'day guys, welcome to the channel. We're back on the XA. I must say that I must say something. I'm not sure what I was going to say. Oh, I want to make excuses, that's right, yeah. Got a couple of hernias, lost my dog, my girlfriend left me. Yeah, just make you look like an idiot. It's not hard. Yeah. But I've actually gone back into operating cranes full time, so I'm going to have to be doing this more part time, but I'm going to try to put out as much as I can, alright? So anyway, where we left off, I was mucking around with that passenger door. Some of you liked what I was doing, some of you didn't agree. That's fine, that's just how it goes. You're always going to get, you know, supporters and non-supporters of whatever you do, and I don't claim to be a professional, so there you go. I'm just a hack, and I'm just having a go. So with that door, I just want to say something, that the problem really was with the guard, well most of it was. I have got these guards back as far as they'll go, and I couldn't get them back any further. Now, some of you were wondering, well, why didn't I just, you know, weld on the guard? And yeah, it's a valid point. I could weld onto the guard, but I had a bad experience. I actually did it on the coupe, where I was building metal up on the back edge of the guard, and whether I was trying to do it too quickly, or, you know, whatever, but I probably put too much heat into that edge, and by doing that, you know, you sort of like shrink down the edge, and if you do that, then you end up with a bulge. So coming around here, like, if you go and shrink all of that side, this is going to tend to bulge out, and I did that on the coupe, and it just really did my head in. And I just figured that it was a lot easier to add metal to the door, because, you know, you've got a flat area about that wide where you can hammer and dolly it, and you can stretch it out again if it's already shrunk. So that's why I did what I did over there. So I don't, as far as I can see, on an old dunger like this, it's not a GT, it's just an old, you know, poverty pack Falcon 500. I don't see any reason why that should be such a bad thing. The point of the matter is I just wanted to have an even gap. Anyway, so I've come around this side, and I actually did the opposite. So as you can see here, I've gone ahead and I've started working away, and I only really needed to alter just this last maybe 150 mil or so of the guard, and so that's what I've done. I've just gone ahead, as you can see, welding spots on, and all the way down to the bottom, and yeah, so that basically fixed most of the issue. This one wasn't as bad as the other side. I only needed to probably add, I don't know, 2 mil, 3 mil max at the bottom, and then just tapering off to nothing. So that's pretty much taken care of that issue. And yeah, for this side and for that side, we're really pretty much ready for bodywork, except for one thing that I discovered. I've got some tin canning in this door. I mean, it's not bad, but it's there. You see that? The thing is, to the touch, the door feels straight, but nevertheless, it has that little bit of tin canning. So what do you reckon I should do? Should I try to heat shrink it, put a couple little heat shrinks in there, or what? Leave your ideas in the comments. So I think what I might do next, I've been thinking about this bonnet, and what can we do, because I wanted to put some GT vents in this. Never done it before, and we do actually, what we'll do is we'll pull out a genuine bonnet. So I've got this genuine XA GT bonnet, which is toast. It is absolutely not usable, completely rusted through. It's like paper thin. I basically just got it for the pattern, you know, just to use it as a guide. You know, I even thought about cutting these out, but they're too far gone. I think it'd just be better just to try to remake them. And I know that I've never done this. Some guys have talked about, you know, making a press to put the shape in. I'm sort of wondering if I could maybe do it on the bead roller, although that is a pretty tight curve. So I don't know, we'll see. But I think what we'll do is we'll use this, as I say, as a guide, and we'll start maybe marking out that bonnet as to, you know, where they actually go, and take it from there. All right, sounds like a plan. We'll do that. All right, I've got my XA GT scoops here, so I'm just going to get them out, because I think what I might do is do a test run on a bit of scrap metal. That is, mark around the vent and then go over to the bead roller and just, you know, run around and see what happens. Yep, cool. I'm lucky because these are actually genuine ones. Yeah. Oh, nuts are still on. Yeah,
might help.
That's what happens when I try to fake it and like walk around with no glasses on, acting like everything's fine. I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, this bonnet's pretty interesting. If you just while I'm getting these nuts off, if you have a look at this bonnet, and it's not the guard, it's actually the bonnet. The edge of the bonnet actually goes out like that and also at the front. So I've got like a little black line there, but it's actually going to need to, you see how it's much closer up there? And I put a straight edge on it, that's how come I've got that black texture line. Yeah, it's not a straight edge. So what I'm figuring on doing is, you know, if this works out, I was going to, well, either way, I was going to deskin the bonnet so that it makes it easier to do rust repair, because I got a bunch of rust repairs need doing on the frame up the front. So it'll make it easier to repair the frame, but also I was thinking if I was going to use the bead roller to put that that line in for the scoop, that obviously it needs to just be a single skin. But what I was thinking of doing before I put it back on is maybe put like a piece of flat bar or something on the inside there and just kind of refold that edge just to get it straighter. But we'll see how we go. This doesn't want to come off. Oh, no, like that. There, okay, cool. All right, that's fine. They're both the same, I think. They're both the same. Yeah, same. Okay, cool. So, find a bit of scrap metal. The old Rolf Harris bit.
Yeah, no, I don't do that anymore.
Oh, right, okay. It's banned, is it?
Yeah, Rolf's banned.
Rolf's banned, okay.
Rolf's cancelled.
All right, this is a total waste of material, but anyway, better to be safe than sorry. So, let's see how it goes. So I'm going to do a test piece before we do the actual test piece. This is the part I'm not confident in doing. The really tight corner. Yeah, it looks like I totally ran off the reservation on that one. But let's see. So I guess I'll just run a mark around there and so it's just not quite right in that one little spot there. Oh, let's see how that works. Yeah, definitely wrong on the curve. That side doesn't look so bad, but yeah, it's wrong at the front there. And that's probably because it's just hard to get around a really, really sharp corner with the bead roller. That's on me, I'm not saying you can't do it. So we don't want to go ripping in and destroying a bonnet until we really know what we're doing. What's the answer? Have another go. So I suppose I could just tip this upside down. So I mean it would fit. It's not a horrible fit. It's not accurate around the top, but actually we'll see. Let's see how accurate it actually is on an original. It's probably a little bit more accurate, but there is still a fair bit of gap there. There's a bit of gap around the whole thing. There's more gap, for example, there's more gap on that side than there is on that side. So that one there, it's could almost say it's actually a slightly tighter fit around the sides, but there's more gap on the top there. So I just need to be more careful. Or make a stamp. Alright, okay, I'm going to have to think about this. Well, I mean, we can say that apart from me messing up on the corners, which, you know, can be repaired, that you could use the bead roller, but my concern is putting distortion into the bonnet by doing it, because, you know, that obviously did put a bit of distortion, which, you know, you can get rid of. There's ways of doing it, but I just don't know if I can be bothered. I want something quick and easy. So maybe there is nothing quick and easy. That'll do. You know what they say, you can wish in one hand and in the other. Gotta make sure you gotta get around the right way.
Can I explain what we're doing this way?
Yeah, so you've got that little, whatever you call it, it'll put like a rebate on your edge. So on one side it's a hole punch, on the other side it's a who knows what, because I never know the names of anything. But anyway, I'll show you. I shall demonstrate, I hope. No, if I do that, like I said, you've got to get around the right way. Is it going to be, yeah, like that. Oh no, that's a nasty, nasty, nasty way of doing it. No, we're not going to do it that way, because that's just a bit rough. Yeah, I wonder if I should try, like with that one cut out, go over to the bead roller and see.
Try with the hole cut out then?
Yeah. You know what? I think that it's better to cut the hole out before you do anything, because this one got way more distortion and twist into the panel than this one.
Just give it room to stretch into.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So it takes the stress off what's outside what you're rolling. Maybe. Just seems that way anyway. Like that panel seems to be, you know, close to the same shape as when it started. All right, so conclusions. Are we any smarter than before we started? No.
Probably not.
No chance at all. Do we know what works and doesn't work? Maybe. What I'd really like is a stamp. Done. Okay, so I'm just going to mark out where these vents go. So I'm taking measurements from this original GT bonnet, and I'm just averaging them, because like one side is, I've checked it, it's like 5 mil different to the other side. So for argument's sake, we'll just take from the back of the bonnet to this corner. So what I'll do is I'll measure in 200, and then from that point measure down to this corner, and it's 630. And then from this side it's a little less because the bonnet slopes in. So I'm just gonna call that 180. and then just go ahead, and I've already transferred them on here, so 200 across, down 630 and across 180, and that just gives me this little corner mark here. Did the same on the other side, and then just put the tape across to give myself like a straight line between those 2 points, and then just went ahead and drew my line. So that'll give us this line here and also that corner point, and because that line's actually straight, we can pretty much put our inner template on like such, and go ahead and do it. So I don't want to give anyone the impression that I think I'm an expert. This is the first time I've done it. I'm just kind of winging it. Had a little bit of advice from Adam, as I said, at Southern Classics and Customs, and here we go. And that's it. So that'll get actually cut out straight away. Can I cut it out straight away? Should be able to. Oh, well, I know that we do have to cut the frame, but anyway. So that'll give us that. We'll cut that out, and then once we've done that, I just need to finish up the die that I'm making, and we'll be able to press that in. Alright, after mucking around with the bead roller, there is another option. I spoke to my good friend Adam down at Southern Classics and Customs in South Australia, and I said, what do you do? And Adam said that he just made some dies, and he presses them in, just makes a die, puts bolts through it around the edges and just presses them in. So I'm going to have a go at doing that. He was kind enough to give me some tips on how he made them. So we're just going to cut the shapes out of 3mm plate, and I'm going to have, I don't have any, obviously don't have any, what do you call them, water jets or anything like that, so I'm going to have to do it the old school way, cut it out with a grinder, and hopefully get it as close as I can. So let's see what happens. We're going to have to cut the first one out. That presses our shape, and then it's obvious that's going to, if you want to call that the male, and then we're going to have to cut, if you like, a female. That's probably a bad description, you know. We shouldn't use genders here. We can't be gender specific on this stuff, you know what I'm saying?
It's non-binary.
Huh?
Non-binary.
No, this is a non-binary show. This is not male and female. This is just simply steel, okay? So I'm going to cut the first part out, which is the shape of the vent, and then I'm going to have to cut another part out for the vent to push into. So let's give it a go.
It's meant to be bigger, isn't it?
I can't use any of that.
It's meant to be big. I was just thinking that.
I knew it was too early in the morning.
It's meant to be the size of that outline, and then the die.
Yeah. So I've actually skipped ahead a couple of steps. I decided to make my die, the one that presses in, out of 10mm plate, just to make it, you know, really strong and rigid. And then I've got the plate that it presses into out of 3mm, which I'm going to make some sort of backing for. So at the moment I've got, I don't know, something that's roughly about 3mm gap around the outsides of it. I'm hoping it's lined up properly. And then what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I'll tack that so it can't move, flip it over, and then go ahead and weld a base underneath it, and then I guess figure out how to go ahead and drill holes through it to use as the clamping mechanism. Alright, so I've got a couple of tacks on that, so what would be next? I guess getting him to flip over. I only put really tiny tacks on because I don't want a big hassle trying to get them off. So now, something for that to screw into. So what should I do? Well, I do have more 10mm plate, but man, that just makes it so heavy. It's not really wide enough, the whole thing. What would happen if you did that? perfect, but I probably should have something there, but for now I'm just going to whack that on. Alright, I've taken this first plate that I've made, put it up under there as such, marked out the opening and also the holes and drilled them. So now I'm going to transfer that across to my die. And I'm also going to be drilling holes through here, right through the whole thing, to put some, you know, fairly decent sized bolts which are going to be used to clamp it all together. Alright, so I'm going to test this thing out now on this old rusty bonnet, which is no good for anything except I'm probably going to salvage this front section and use it for rust repairs for this up here, as you can see, which doesn't look too great. Yeah, so it's kind of weird that it's rusted in all the places except there, and most bonnets are rusted at the front, but that's good for me. And anyway, so I've gone ahead and made a bit of a template for this, the cutout. So I'm going to go ahead and trace that on when I can find a texture. Oh, okay. So now that's done, flip her over and mark her out. I don't think I'm going to be able to press this on the frame. That's a funny looking thing. What's that? Looks like somebody's put a hood ornament from who knows what. Okay. 200, 630, yep, 180, something like that. I know this is not perfect accuracy. Let's see how this goes. Yo! Okay. Alright, so I've just played around a little bit off camera and I got this to work in such a way that I can drop my bottom die straight in. Like that. And these bolts are pretty much almost hard up against the edge of that cutout. So pretty much ready to go. The shape of this, the way I've cut it out, is probably a little different to the original one. This original one sort of follows the line pretty closely around there, whereas because of the shape of my die, I've had to make it a little bit more elongated. The taper is a little bit more shallow. I don't really think that matters. It's not a GT, just a lookalike, so there you go. I mean, I could do it, but the issue I've got is I've got to grind into this 10mm plate quite a lot, and my pressing edge is getting a little thin, so I mean, I could do it. It'd just be a matter of like grinding it right back like that and getting the same shape, and you know, maybe I can do that before the next one, but for this trial I think I'll leave it at that. Flip this over, hope for the best, and there you go. Alrighty, let's see. Yeah, okay. I think that's just about what we need. Here we go. It's not too bad. Let's try her out with the vent. There you go. So it's not horrible. In fact, I'd say it's just about as good as a normal one. I think I might get a better result if I get some decent bolts in that one. See, I never got a bolt in the back one, and I noticed that right in the middle there the fold is not as sharp. So I think I'm going to go and get some good high tensile bolts, some good nuts, so I can screw everything down evenly. And I'll also drill out these, just, you know, a smidgen, just so that there's no snagging up. And I think maybe I'll use a washer before the nut, so the nut doesn't sort of burr down the opening. Alright, so we've got this test run done on this old bonnet, and it's looking okay, so I'm ready to jump straight into the bonnet we're going to use and hope for the best. Yeah, okay. Upside down. Just get her in the center of that trestle so it's... we're all ready to try our stamp die thing, whatever you call it. So, thingamajig, yeah. Technical name being thingamajig. Whee. So, got these bolts, so they're pretty much running around the inside edge of that. So I'll just get something just to hold that up a bit higher. Where was the socket? Oh, there it is. That wasn't not even down. Yep. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of tap, tap, tap. Just noticed that back edge on the first one I did was a little bit not quite as sharp a fold or whatever you want to call it. I don't think it'll matter too much. And then I just got to drill some holes through it for the what do you call them? Thingamajigs. Oh, now come on. Oh, I missed a couple of holes. So I messed up a little bit there. But I'll get them. Better just make sure there's no crap in there. And then just need to push it that way as much as I can, and I think we're ready to go. That's good enough for me. What do you reckon?
Looks good to me.
What do you guys reckon? Oh, that's right, can't hear you. Yeah. Well, it's done now. Can't take it back. Can't get a refund. So there it is. All the ways, not all the ways, but some of the ways that are not the best ways to do it, or some ways of putting your XA GT vents in your bonnet. And one way which worked for us was this one. So you could make your own stamp, die, press, whatever you want to call it. So thanks for sticking around. If you watched this far, you're legends. We'll see you in the next one.